thank you all for joining again. We are in our March 2021 Teams Developer Community Call, and we've got a packed agenda for you guys today. So just to kind of run down our agenda list, we have Wajeed, who is going to go over a brief introduction on our Teams community sample repository. Then we'll move on to our couple pair of community sample showcases, where Sathya and Arun will be going over the business to citizen consumer communication bot. And then the next showcase, we'll have our very own Bob German, who will go over his bot composer. And then lastly, we'll have a session where I'll have Shubham and Anuj from our mobile platform team who will go over utilizing mobile-first device capabilities for Teams apps. So we've got a lot of great stuff to show for y'all today, and I am excited to get started. So with that being said, Wajeed.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Wajeed, and I'm a program manager for Developer Community Responses. We answer queries posted on dev community forums like Stack Overflow, GitHub, and Microsoft Q&A. Today, I'm going to showcase our consolidated sample code repo for Microsoft Teams platform. Going forward, this is going to be the place for all the official sample codes. So I'm going to share my screen for a quick walkthrough for the repo. You can find this repo by visiting aka.ms/teams samples link. Once you visit the repo, you'll find a root README file where all the samples are listed. All these samples are divided based on platform capabilities, so you can easily find them. Each of the sample has a deep link to a specific folder, and you could click on that to go to that folder. Individual sample code have their own README file. You can look through the README file, and this contains step-by-step guide for setting it up locally. We recently added sample code for tab SSO in C#. We added message extension auth sample. We also added samples for quick start on bot SSO. So we are working on adding more samples to ensure that we have sample code for every platform capability and new feature releases. Please go ahead and try this out. Please watch the repo for the changes which are coming. If you find any issue in sample while trying out, please raise it in issue section. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please go ahead and use the discussions tab and you could add it there. You could suggest new sample code ideas on that as well. That was it for the repo. Please give it a try. Let us know your feedback and any comments you have. Over to you, Jun.
Awesome. Thank you, Wajeed. Really appreciate it. All right, so moving on to our first community sample showcase. Sathya and Arun, would you like to take control and go over your sample?
Thank you, Jun. All right. Good morning, good evening, all. Thanks for joining the call. And I am Sathya Raveendran. I am also a PM as part of Teams Engineering, and I have Arun from my team, also of us, who is going to be presenting along with me for this particular sample showcase. What we have in this month's community showcase is business to citizen communication chat app. This particular sample is extremely powerful to light up multiple different real world applications. Before we move on to the actual app itself or a demo part of it, I want to be very clear on what we mean by citizen user here. A citizen user is basically a user who might not have a Teams app on their phone or even a Teams license. They use consumer chat applications, native mobile apps, and they might be using these kind of like chat applications to talk to businesses. Imagine someone talking to a customer support center using a native mobile app of that particular business, or using one of the business accounts in any of the consumer chat applications, right? These are the citizen users, and they have no reason to have a Teams license or even a Teams mobile app installed on their mobile. With those definitions out of our way, let's take a look at the capabilities that we have as part of the sample app. Using this app, you can develop a bot that is accessible over a web interface and a Teams interface. Think of a bot as this one central circle. On one side, you have a Teams channel, basically an interface via Teams to talk to the bot. On the other side, you have a web channel, a web interface to talk to the bot. It uses Microsoft Bot Framework to establish a real-time chat between a citizen user who has no Teams license and a business licensed user who uses Teams. The citizen user in this samples case is going to be using a web page as their interface. The sample shows the use of Graph APIs to quickly create meetings and share meeting join information with both parties. It also makes use of Graph APIs to allow transfer of files, because often when you chat between two parties, there is going to be a transfer of files. So how can that transfer happen between a citizen user and a business user is something that we will show in the sample app. And lastly, it showcases the righteous use of channel threads. We have threaded conversations inside channels, as you all know, how we can use that effectively to have parallel conversations with different users at the same time. That's something that we will show here as well. With that, let's move on to the demo of the app itself. What you see over here is basically the app in action. On the right side that you see over here is basically a web interface. If you see, it's a normal website. We have gone into a website, and in this website, there is a bot that allows users to start a chat request. And in this case, this particular user raises a chat request with entering their name, the information related to their phone number, their email ID, and a preliminary request, a query that they want to get addressed. Now, this is a citizen user. They don't have Teams, so they are using a normal website. And when they post, that particular request appears on the left side on Teams for a licensed user. Imagine an agent is sitting over here. Now, this agent is mentioning the bot over here and talks back to the app. Now, what you see over here is, in addition to just posting it as a query, the bot also shows the person's name. It takes the first name and last name from here and does a user attribution over here. That's something that's interesting that we call as user attribution. That's also something that you can use to make your bot messages more personalized and attribute to the user from which that particular message came from. So in this case, if you see subsequent messages as this person starts talking to the bot, this particular message gets posted here in real time, and basically the replies from this side as well gets posted over here. During the chat, this particular person the citizen user wants to share a file, and they upload a PDF file over here, and that PDF file also magically appears on this side. And the business user, the agent, can actually open the PDF file directly, which is stored on SharePoint, and answer on top of it by mentioning the bot again. So essentially what you see is actually a live chat that's happening between someone who is using a web browser, a bot on a browser, and someone who is using a Teams as an interface. Now, chat is good. It's good to have real-time chat. But imagine you want to escalate it into a call. In this case, they have identified a problem. They have verified that problem using file sharing and all of that. Now, they want to have a quick resolution by getting on an actual call. It could be a video call, audio call, whatever you desire. And then they want to map it out over in the call. And that's what you see over here. Clicking on schedule meeting, you have meeting join information thrown on both sides of the chat, and both parties can get on an ad hoc call in this manner. Now, the thing that you need to keep in mind is this person is not going to be licensed, so they can join as a guest user. As you see over here, they can just type in their name and join as a guest user, and they will have all the capabilities in terms of a video call, audio call over Teams meeting. In addition to that, this is not just on web client. I'll show a mobile client as well over here. What this app also does is all the files that you share over here is neatly organized in the files tab. If you see over here in this particular screenshot, you'll be able to see for this particular chat session, a folder is created, and within that folder, all the files shared by this user is neatly organized. So it also uses file APIs to test this, and that's also an interesting thing. And it's not applicable just for a desktop or web client. You can actually access the browser via mobile clients as well, and the interface and the user experience remains the same. Users can talk to the agents on the team side, and they'll be able to get real-time chat information from both sides. This is something that shows the mobile usage of this. And the last part that I wanted to talk about in this particular sample is we have made use of channels over here to post new requests. So each request that gets created by this person over here gets created as a new channel thread on this side. So you can have multiple conversations in parallel. Imagine there's a customer 1 with a problem, customer 2 with another problem, and customer 3 with a problem. All of this gets created as different channel threads. And by mentioning the bot as a reply to that particular thread, the app intelligently understands that they are speaking to this particular customer, not another customer, and routes the replies to the right window over here. So customer 2 gets a reply for the message that's written in customer 2 side and so on. So the app intelligently understands which conversation it is and then routes the reply messages to the right person on the other side. Now, what you see over here is basically a construct, a framework, and that's what a sample app is, right? It's essentially a building block using which you can essentially light up multiple scenarios across different industries. Think of this in a finance and banking industry. The business end, the person who is on the team side could be a banking relationship manager, whereas on the customer end could be a banking customer who is on the bank's website and talking to a bot and asked to be connected to an agent. In a healthcare side, this could be someone, a doctor on the team side who is doing a virtual consult for a patient who is on the hospital website or hospital mobile app. In a retail way, you can have a customer who is shopping on a website on the retail customer's website, and then they have a query, they want to get connected to a shopping assistant, an associate, and they can create a request on the bot and they can get connected with the assistant right over who is working on Teams. The same goes for other industries as well. What you saw here is basically a basic framework, but by simple customization and extending, it is applicable across multiple scenarios in different industries. And just to highlight that point over here, right? What you saw is basically a citizen user on this side, an agent on this side, and we used one outreach channel, the website channel that you saw over here, and we used the communication methods, all of this that you see over here. Now, in addition to that, based on your own requirements, basically if you are designing it or you're extending it for a particular customer, you can have the channels in which the customer is already present. If they are already present in different consumer channels, you can have this work in other channels as well, not just in web chat. And in addition to that, you can also provide value-added services. In this case, we currently have the sharing and receiving files information is something that we have added as a value-added services, but you can actually connect this to a CRM and show the incoming customers information during the meeting for the agent to better prepare an answer for a question, even more informed. So all of these value-added services are ideas that I am proposing to you. You can make use of this base framework, the sample app that we are providing, to add all of this and make it as a full enriched solution. Now, with that, I would want to hand over this to Arun to talk about some of the more technical aspects of the solution.
Hey, hi all. As I said, we used to complete this sample conversation ID to identify the channel threads. So based on the conversation ID, we are giving a replies to that particular message. So for that, we have not used any graph API for that. So we used a bot.conversation ID in that channel thread. And we stored that information into Cosmos DB, and based on that, we are trying to replay that. So that's the first one we used as part of the sample. For creating a new folder or creating a files, we used this folder graph API with the delegated permission. At this moment, everything I worked on my sample are delegated permissions because we are just demonstrating for one user account. So to create any file and to update the same file, so we use this create new folder in a drive and graph API. So with this help, we are able to create, or we can update also the file in the same folder based on that work. So based on the conversation ID, I created one folder. Inside that folder, I pasted all the files and all. And the last one is create event file, which we already explained in my last sample as part of meeting extensibility channel. So using create online event meeting, you can create a online graph API meeting, and both the parties can join the call and they can talk and they can resolve that issue. So these are the technical, these are the important graph API things which we used as part of this sample. Yeah, we just want to showcase. Yeah, that's it. Sathya.
Thank you. So in addition to the channel that we had shown, in addition to the web chat, The Microsoft Bot Framework can also be extended to work in other channels. That's available in this documentation, which is provided in the GitHub sample as well. So feel free to take a look at this, take a look at all the samples and see if your customer or if the person that you're building this for has presence in other channels. You can also extend it to other channels. Over to you, Jun.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Sathya and Arun. Really appreciate it. All right, moving on, we will go over to Bob, who will go over a sample of the bot composer.
I'll just jump right in there. Hello, everyone. So yeah, this is a little bit of a different, maybe a little bit of a change of pace, but I recently became more acquainted with Bot Composer. And since I don't think it gets really a ton of love, I want to actually build a demo in front of you right now and show you how easy it is to build a bot for Teams that has custom logic in it and that calls the Microsoft Graph. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Because of the amount of time we have, I'm going to assume that you've already, if you wanted to follow along with like the recording of this, and I will make a more in-depth recording at some point, you need to install the Bot Composer, the Bot Framework Emulator, ngrok, which if you've worked with bots, you probably are familiar with that, and then follow these instructions to register the bot, and you have to register it in the Azure portal in order to get to some of these features, and an application that can call the Microsoft Graph. And when you're doing that, you need to save 3 values, the Microsoft App ID, the client secret, and the OAuth connection name, which are mentioned inside those instructions, because we'll need those when we're actually building the bot. So let's just do it. Here's the Bot Composer. If you've never seen this before, it is available as both a desktop application and as a web service. So you could install it on your own web server if you want. I'm going to make a brand new bot from scratch. And I'll go ahead and give it a name. And it's just a very simple little bot. And okay, and this is what the composer looks like. So if you're familiar with bots at all, underneath of the first simple bot, that's the bot, there is a dialog called simple bot and a greeting inside that dialog. The first thing I'm going to do is to simplify it, I'm just going to go over to the regex recognizer. This is what recognizes what the user means when they type something. The default is Lewis, which is a great choice, but for the purposes of a very quick demo and also not requiring you to stand up Lewis necessarily, just going to use regex here. And notice the greeting, and this will look familiar to people who have used other low-code tools. It's just going to loop through. This is actually triggered by a thing called a conversation update. So whenever anyone enters or leaves the conversation, it's going to loop through all the members of the conversation and send them all a greeting message. So let's add another trigger here. And this trigger is going to be, I recognized an intent, and just the word how will trigger it. It's just a super simple, I just want to get something going, kind of hello world type example. Now I can type multiple responses and it will pick randomly. These are from famous TV and movie robots, so if you can guess which ones they are, I don't really have a prize, but you can still try if you want. The last one is rather obscure. So let's go ahead and run the bot and allow the firewall access so that messages can get into the bot. And I'm running just the emulator now. So if you've never used the Bot Framework Emulator, this allows you to debug your bot locally, but unfortunately it does not now understand all the goodness in Teams. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but for the moment, this is great. So I'm going to now go in and start ngrok because I want to make this work in Teams. So I'm just going to grab the ngrok URL there, go into my Azure portal, and I'm going to register a new bot. So to do this, I've already done the registration, as I mentioned. You can see that same ngrok URL is there at the top of the screen. Also, there's the app ID and the connection name that we need, that we're going to need for the Bot Composer. And then if I go into this application, which is the application that represents the bot, I also had to create a client secret, and those only show up once. So it kind of like right after you create it, you have to copy it somewhere safe. And so that's the other thing that you'll need for Bot Composer. Okay, so our bot is registered. Let's go back to the bot. I'm going to go into the tools and paste in that app ID that I saved before. And then I'll put in that app password. So you do want to store this somewhere safe. As you can see, I'm trying to do that here. Demonstrate the best practices. And then I'm just going to restart the bot. So that's going to allow the bot to talk over that particular channel. I also enabled the Teams bot channel as well. All right, so let's go in. And the first thing I'm going to do is just paste in the app ID, which is a quick and dirty way to test. And as you can see, it works. Okay, great. So now let's go and make an app. So I'm sure you've seen App Studio about a gazillion times, so I'm going to go really quick, but I'm just going to create a new app for this. Nothing too special about it. I do have to fill in all these fields. Teams won't, and it's good. Teams keep me honest here. Can't like half fill in this form. All these different things have to be filled in or it won't take the app. And so you probably already know that, but I'm just trying to explain as we go. And we need the developer information, and we need the app URLs, and I'm just going to use my company's URLs for that. And I'll skip the branding. Let's just go right over to bots in the interest of time and set up our bot. So this is an existing bot. I just registered it. I showed you the registration, right? I'm just going to paste in that app ID, the bot ID. This one's for personal only. And all right, now let's go ahead and distribute that. Just going to install it locally. And that should do it so that you can see that I'm still talking. My conversation from the earlier test is still there and it is still working. Awesome. All right, so now this is the part that amazed me, is how easy it is to actually connect it to the graph. So I'm just going to go back into my bot. I'm going to add another trigger. And this one, I have a how intent. Let's make a who intent. Who am I? And so all I'm going to do here is report back a little bit of information from the user's profile. To do that, I'm going to call an external resource, and I'm going to start with the login. So the user does have to log in occasionally. This is not the new Teams SSO that's not yet supported in Bot Composer. But you know what? They only really get prompted every 6 months or so because the bot framework stores a nice refresh token for the user. So notice that I'm outputting the token information or the OAuth information to a property called dialog.oauth. So dialog, turn, and conversation and user are 4 different types of memory that Bot Composer takes care of. And the dialog will persist as long as this particular dialog, this who am I dialog, is running. So once the user's logged in, I'm just going to do a GET request of everybody's favorite URL, graph.microsoft.com/1.0/me. And I'm going to pass that auth token in, and notice that I'm going oauth.token. And there's a little syntax there that you'll end up learning in the Bot Composer, which is to expand that property, I have to use a $sign and squiggly brackets, but not too much that's fancy here. I'm going to stick the result in dialog.graphResult property and ask for JSON coming back. And then the last thing that I need to do is to actually output the result of that graph call. Notice that I'm just going $dialog.graphResult.content because the graph puts the actual profile information in something called content. And then I'll show the job title and the user's display name. All right, so that should about do it. Let's restart the bot. And this should start right up. And now I'm going to go directly back to Teams. Actually, let me, go right into Teams. And I'm just going to say who. Who am I? And there we go. We get a login prompt. As I say, you only get these occasionally. Now, I forgot to do something, so it's not working. So let me go fix that. All I need to do here is add to the Teams manifest. And aren't you glad that Teams is keeping us safe, right? Like it's keeping me from going to arbitrary URLs that might be from somewhere nefarious. Unless I put them here under valid domains, I actually just need to put the bot framework URL for the login to work. And all right, and let's bump the version number here so that this will install correctly over the old version. And I'll go ahead and add that. We're almost done, folks. And now my login should work. I'm going to get the login prompt along with, it's going to ask me to consent to the permissions that I just, that I set up. And drum roll, there we go. So that's it, folks. Hopefully useful. Not probably the most impressive demo in the world, but what I love about it is that it was that easy from nothing at all to actually have my bot in Teams calling Graph and fully integrated with M365. So that's it. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them or maybe answer them in chat. But I think it's probably time for the next presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. Really appreciate it. All right.
I never did turn my camera on. I meant to. Hi, everybody.
All right. Moving on to our next portion of the call. Now I'll be turning it over to Anuj and Shubham to go over utilizing mobile-first device capabilities for Teams apps. So whenever you're ready, Shubham, I can just kind of click through the slides, just kind of guide me when you want me to move on to the next one.
Thank you, Jun. Morning, everyone. So I'm Anuj Bahl, and I work as a program manager on Teams mobile platform. In the last 6 months or so, we've been investing heavily on mobile-first innovation and capabilities. We're not just investing on newer features for mobile users, but also making sure that the platform constructs are easier to use and apps are more discoverable and simpler to acquire on mobile. Today, we're going to specifically talk about device capabilities, and these are essentially hardware capabilities that come on your phone. We want to showcase the various scenarios to you on how extensible app developers can utilize these capabilities to build richer mobile-first applications. I want to briefly talk about the various platform constructs and how they essentially look on mobile. I'm sure most of you would be familiar with this, but we have bots, which are conversational entities that perform a certain specific set of tasks. So bots can register with the MS bot framework and then act as essentially any other member as part of a chat or a team. And bots can communicate with users, respond to their questions, proactively notify them about changes, etc. Then we have tabs. These are canvases that can be used to share content, hold conversations, and third-party services. And these are essentially nothing but web views that load a website URL. Messaging extensions is a construct that users can use to aid themselves while they're composing a message. And on mobile, it sort of comes up when you open up the compose extension tray. And lastly, we have personal apps, and these are similar to tabs, but just exist in the personal scope. So while you have tabs that can be configured and designed to be more collaborative in nature, as they can be pinned to a particular chat or channel, users can use personal apps to increase their own productivity. And that's what comes up when you swipe up or on the homepage in the More menu. All right, so before I hand over to Shubham, I just want to talk a bit about why we're really investing heavily in mobile first capabilities. Before the pandemic, the usage of Teams was sort of restricted to North America, but in the last year or so, we've seen the usage grow in other parts of the world. Students, frontline workers, and other blue-collared workers that don't have access to large screen devices use mobile on an everyday basis. And mobile only users today account for close to 20% of Teams users. And this is one of the fastest growing user segments, and we do expect this growth to sort of continue in the near future as well. So hence we're like focusing on empowering Teams developers to build great mobile first apps by enabling device capabilities in the JS SDK. Over to you, Shubham, to talk more about the different APIs we've exposed.
Yeah, thanks, Anuj. Hey everyone, Shubham here. I work with Anuj on the platform. So I'll just jump right into the device capabilities which we have developed over the past couple of months, as well as we'll also look into some capabilities that we are currently working and will be releasing in the future. So here's a quick roadmap of how things have been over the past and how it looks in the future. We started off with image capture and photo gallery, image picking kind of scenarios first. So the first two items here on the timeline represent the same. We have used Office Lens, which is like a powerful tool that Microsoft leverages to power scenarios around capturing images through a camera. Then the third one here is recording audio using a microphone. This again is a kind of a very common scenario if you talk about mobile, especially for mobile first scenarios. And then the fourth one here is a location detection interface, which basically means if you're familiar with, say, how we kind of share our location for while booking a ride on Uber or Lyft. So that kind of map interface can directly be leveraged using the APIs that we have recently introduced. Then the fifth one here is around barcode QR code scanner. Again, a very mobile first kind of scenario. So we again use Office Lens SDK to power our control here. We'll go into details of this. I'm just quickly going through the timeline for now. Then till now, we have only talked about the mobile capabilities, but some of these capabilities we thought would also make sense to have the desktop counterparts supported as well. So then we kind of work to gain parity in terms of functionality on desktop. So around this quarter, we have been working on the first two set of capabilities around images, camera, location, and making sure that it also works on desktop. So this is our current work that we are doing. Then at the end, the last two are around a people picker HVC meaning a high value control. So there are very common scenarios in which you would want, a control that allows an end user to select a user, say, from a chat or channel or within the org, in order to, say, assign a particular task to the user or just add the user in a particular workflow. We believe that's a very common workflow, and we also wanted to make sure that this kind of control is added to the client SDK itself, so that the developers can directly leverage it instead, using their own, putting in their own effort in building such a control that can be easily leveraged directly. Then the last one is around video capture capability, which we'll be picking up sometime next quarter. I'll be going into quick demos of how these capabilities currently work. So the first one here is around image APIs. So here we just wanted to demonstrate the power that Office Lens provides. So June, if you can just play the demo. I'll just, this doesn't have an voiceover, so I'll just walk everyone through what's happening. So here we just created a sample app to demonstrate the power that Office Lens provides in terms of the edit functionalities and kind of high level image capabilities. So for example, the scenario here is there's an app. Parent is trying to share the image of his or her child working with the classroom in a particular app. So as you saw here, the app could directly access certain functionalities which are natively available, and the parent is able to either click an image from camera or just select one from gallery. And then Office Lens provides a host of functionalities such as, you can add text annotations, you can add filters, you can add free hand drawing on top of the images. Basically, you can have all the functionalities which everyone is kind of very familiar with now, and that can be added to the image before sharing it right back to the underlying web app. So this is more about it. Then it's kind of standard stuff. We can pause this demo. It's just submitting the image to the web app and move to the next one. So this demo was around demonstrating how powerful Office Lens is in terms of high-level edit functionalities over images. The next demo we have, that's a common demo that kind of demonstrates three of the capabilities, including the one that we talked about, which is image, and then location and mic. So this one has a voiceover, so I'll just mute myself for a minute or so. Yeah, June, you can just play the demo.
With the help of number of device capabilities now enabled on Teams platform, Contoso has enabled a tab app that lets field agents record information easily on Teams itself that is instantly viewable on the Contoso repair channel. The field agent can quickly create a new inspection item and raise a ticket. The field agent can use the attach picture option to capture images of the car using Office Lens. They have the option of choosing these images from the gallery or clicking them with the camera. Using the multiple image support, the field agent can upload multiple images of the car at the same time. They also have the option to choose and pick the current location of the customer by dropping a pin at the map interface. Instead of typing out a description of the car, the field agent can record an audio description of the car itself. On recording the audio successfully, the field agent can submit the ticket, and finally, the information is added to the tab app in the channel.
Yep. So that was a short demo of a simple app we built that leverages three of our capabilities around image, location, and audio or mic. The last demo that we have, at least for this area, is around a QR barcode scanner capability, which just went live last month. So yeah, this again has a voiceover. So I'll mute myself. Jun, you can play the demo.
Here's a demo showcasing QR and barcode scanner capability that's being added to the Teams client SDK. Max, a Contoso employee, needs IT support to fix his laptop. He uses the incident reporting app to raise support request. Earlier, entering asset code manually used to be really inconvenient, with the code being lengthy and typed usually in small font. Also, there was always a risk of making mistakes. Now, Max uses his phone's camera to scan the asset barcode, which automatically fills in the asset info fields. This makes the process of raising support ticket much simpler. And after entering the issue description, Max just hits submit to generate a fresh support ticket. Max's life is easier now, thanks to QR and barcode scanner capabilities present in the Teams client SDK.
So that was around the QR barcode scanner capability, which just went live around last month. So this is a control that we are currently working on. So this is again something that we have been hearing a lot from our developer community, and especially our 3P partners, who all of them had a requirement, a control which can be used, leveraged to pick people. It's not an easy process to do, and if something like this can be extended right out of the Teams client SDK, then that would add a lot of value to the developer community in general. So we listened to that feedback. And yeah, here's kind of the work that we are currently doing. And these are just walks for now, but it's under progress. So as you see, here's a sample purchase approval kind of workflow, wherein one of the steps is to select the approver. So the second and the third screens that you see here, these represent the experience that would again be coming in form of an API in the client SDK. So this entirely would be just one API call away. So developers can just leverage that call, that capability, and you'll have you don't have to invest as much in building a people picker on your own. So here on second and third screens, the end user selects the respective approver. And as you see in the last screen, the name of the approver and relevant details get shared back with the underlying app, and the end user hits send, and the workflow gets completed. Yep. So these were the demos. Now coming to what APIs to leverage. I'm glad to tell that all our documentations have now been updated and published. We'll provide the link to everything that we just demonstrated, all the APIs and how they work, and even sample code snippets to make sure that you don't get stuck anywhere. So I'll just quickly go through the APIs, the corresponding APIs to the relevant API capabilities we just discussed. So the first one is around images, image capture, and also we have another API for providing an image viewer control as well. So select media is the API that you will need to invoke or call to kind of capture or let users capture and attach images to the underlying web app. So I just wanted to cover the configurations also real quick. So we kind of understood that there are different requirements or use cases coming in from from mobile first scenarios, such as, for example, there was a scenario which one of our customers was asking that, we want to create a check-in kind of app wherein the user is restricted to capture image only using the front camera. We don't want users to rotate the camera at all. Or there were scenarios like, we have the scenario that we want users to scan a picture instead of capturing a picture. And then there were scenarios around, in quality check or quality inspection kind of scenarios. They wanted to do a freehand annotation over the image before submitting it to the app. So different scenarios kind of translate here to different configurations that we have kind of provided. So you can change these configurations as per your need of the app, and respectively the control would make sure that it opens in a relevant configuration. So the second one here is number of medias that can be attached, pretty straightforward. Third one is the source. Source means whether you'd like to let users capture an image or pick an image from the gallery, or let the users choose which one they want to do. Then the fourth one here is the start mode. So Office Lens supports a couple of scan modes as well, instead of like standard image capture kind of mode. So it supports document scanning, whiteboard scanning, and business code scanning. So if you have a scenario wherein the control should open in a particular scan mode, then that too is available in form of configuration. Then the fourth last one is around camera switcher. If you want to default to front or back camera, or want to restrict users to use only a particular camera, then this is the configuration to use. The last three are around editing, so inking, applying text stickers, and applying filters. So these are just Boolean configurations. If you set them to true, these capabilities will just show up in the camera control. Then the last thing I want to cover is around view images. View images is another API that we have added to the SDK, which can directly be leveraged to have a image viewer kind of control, so that you can just use an inbuilt control instead of building your own image viewers to preview the attached images. So coming to the location APIs, there's just two pretty straightforward APIs here. One is get location, one is show location. Get location would be used to capture users' location. We have configurations which kind of let the developers decide whether they want to show a map or not show a map. And if they want to show a map, then would the user be allowed to move around the map and pick any location on the map, or are they restricted to submit only their current location? So all of them are the configurations that can be created by using allow choose location and show map variables, which are the configurations that we currently support. So allow choose location would mean a map would open. This again is coming from mobile first scenarios that we have heard a lot. For example, in some scenarios, the apps just want to show the map as a confirmation screen, and they want the user to submit only their current exact location for verification kind of scenarios. So listening to those kind of feedback, we have this configuration that restricts user to either submit the current location only, or maybe enables users to pick any location on the map and share with the underlying web app. And show map is just a common, like as the name suggests, it's a configuration. If set to true, it would show the map. If set to false, then this is kind of a scenario which is also currently enabled by the HTML5 get current position kind of API. So it just kind of fetches the current coordinates from the GPS of the device and shares with the underlying web app without showing any particular map on the UI. Then the other API is show location. It would just open a particular location that you provide to this API on the native mobile supporting app. So coming to the last two capabilities that we have rolled out for now, microphone is again very simple. There's just one API which we have already discussed. So select media is kind of an umbrella API. So we have just extended select media, which we discussed earlier, to also support mic capability. So basically the interface is same as seen in the demo. Using this API, a small kind of bar would appear at the bottom of the screen, wherein the end user will have the option to stop the recording whenever the user feels like ending the recording, and the recorded audio stream gets shared with the underlying app. So the only configuration here is max duration, which kind of is limited currently at 10 minutes. And if you set this duration to say 1 minute, then the recording would automatically terminate after that set period. Then the last capability is around barcode QR code scanner. Again, just one API which is called scan barcode. The only configuration we have is timeout intervals in second. It's currently maxed at 60 seconds and default is 30 seconds, but it can be configured per the needs of the end user. All the experiences were kind of demonstrated back in the demos. I hope everyone can relate which APIs correspond to which capability. And we just shared a blog post recently on all the 4 capabilities we just talked about, which is, to summarize, which is around image APIs, which is capturing an image or picking an image from gallery or viewing image. Then secondly, around location, which is getting a user's location or showing a location on a map. Third is around audio or mic, which is recording audio on using the device microphone. And the final one was around QR barcode scanner, which is again being added to the client SDK as a ready-to-use control right out of the box. So you can just check out this blog post. The link is ak.ms device capabilities and also respective documentations. So that's all we had from the device capabilities area. I hope everyone did find some value in what we have been developing from especially looking at the mobile first vision that the team currently has. Do share a feedback on the chat and also share any questions on the chat if you have any. Thanks. Over to you, Jun.
Awesome. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Anuj. And as Shubham mentioned, on that blog, you can find all of the resources and the dev documentation that they mentioned as well. So be sure to check out that link. Let me go back so that you guys can have it again in front of you if you haven't copied it already, but aka.ms/device capabilities. Thank you guys so much. Before I move on to Q&A, in the spirit of continuous improvement and development, we wanted to ask if you could complete a quick survey for us just to kind of help describe your experiences with the M365 developer ecosystem, right from onboarding and onto the platform all the way to measuring and tracking success of your application. This will help us a long ways as to kind of improving the experience for developers building on the platform. So if you have a moment, please check out aka.ms/developer success. That'll really help us out here. So thank you so much. So I'll pause on here for just a second for you guys to take a look at the links. And then now I will turn it over to Q&A. So, if you have any questions, please use the raise your hand feature and then we can kind of call upon you. Or please, if you feel more comfortable asking a question in the chat, please do so. And we'll just kind of go through questions as much as we can. So I will turn it over to the audience. And I see a question in the chat. Not sure if folks on the call have the answers for this, but is Adaptive Cards 1.3 supported in Teams?
Yes, 1.3 is now supported across all the clients, desktop, as well as iOS and Android.
Awesome. Thank you, Anuj, for answering that. And I see Chris has his hand raised up. Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure, thanks. Just a quick question about that chatbot scenario got me thinking about another thing that I've tried to do that hasn't worked. Are there plans to allow a bot to receive and react to chat messages in meetings? Because I can join a meeting, I can get the audio from the meeting in a call, but I can't see or contribute to the meeting chat as a bot.
Sathya or Arun, any thoughts on this one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, the fact that bots can't, a bot who's a participant in a meeting can't see or can't even read the chat, let alone send a chat message to the meeting.
Oh, okay. It's related to call. Maybe I need to check with calling an online meeting people, and then I may comment on that. I will check and I'll get back to you on that. Maybe in this group chat, or else I'll post in my platform and Graph API channel. Yeah.
All right. And I'm just kind of going through the chat now. Any update on being able to use Graph to target a message to a user? Right now, you still have to have an active chat with someone and you can then inject messages into it, but you cannot start one over Graph if it doesn't already pre-exist.
Let me check and I'll respond on that.
Okay.
Where is that question? Yeah, I'll respond on that.
I do see a question from Michael asking, when will adaptive cards 1.4 with a universal action model be available? And I think, Michael, for that question, we can loop back with our adaptive cards colleagues to see if they have any information that they could provide, but we'll kind of loop back with them for that. And then Lisa asked a question not related to this topic, but do we know when they will activate notifications from shifts in the Teams desktop app? Currently available on mobile, but not on desktop. Lisa, for that one, or yeah, if folks on the call don't have an answer, I can always loop back with my frontline worker colleagues to see if I can grab an answer for you for that, as a follow-up. And then Christian asked, when will bot features be available for direct routing? Satya or Arun or maybe even Bob, any thoughts on that one by chance?
Just that I would ask the Azure bot framework team if it was, but they don't have a community call, so I guess it's a good question.
Hey Christian, I might be able to answer that for you actually. Because you can actually use that with direct routing. Like you can assign a direct routing number to a bot, and you can, if a bot is assigned a online voice routing policy, it can make a call via, an outbound call can go out via direct routing SBC. So it does work.
So you're saying that you can actually do that today with direct routing and not just online numbers?
Yeah. Yeah. If you
you get an error when you do that with the Graph Beta API.
What are you trying to do, inbound or outbound?
Inbound.
Have you created the online voice application instance?
Yeah, I have direct routing up and running already. So yeah. So I just wanted to grab that call and then divert it to a channel in Teams, or a team in Teams, and have someone agent there kind of pick up that call.
Okay, because I was able to do it, and I did it using when you set the number for the online application instance, you set the on-prem phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to send a call from the SBC to the bot.
Yeah, and I could do that as well, but then I can't really do anything else with that call, even though I got the call ID. It creates 3 different call IDs, and then it times out, hangs up.
So you can't answer a call?
Nope, unfortunately not. Not via Graph, not by using Graph, just, you get the call ID and then you say, okay, I want to be able to answer this call and transfer it to someone else or whatever I want to do with it. But maybe we can talk, outside this community if that's kind of out of scope for this call.
I mean, look, I would assume it would be in scope for the call. I mean,
okay,
it's a micro. It's part of the. I mean, this is maybe some feedback for the Microsoft team. Calling seems to be this whole separate island.
Mm-hmm.
No, and in my answer, I did not mean to imply that we shouldn't have had somebody here from every related technology that Teams depends on to answer questions. So I don't know if it's practical, but I did not mean to push that off as not an appropriate question at all. It's totally a reasonable question. Nope. You need to see one developer surface for the whole thing. I get it. I totally get it.
I mean, Christian, I guess the only thing I can tell you is I can answer a call from a direct routing SBC. All I had to do was set that on-prem phone number, and then I had to set it up so that my SBC routed it to the direct routing trunk.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some doing there, but then once it came in, it worked the same as a service number.
Okay, well, I've got everything up and running. I'm capable of getting PSTN calls directly into my Teams client, but adding the virtual license and phone number, everything, that works like a charm. I mean, so the thing is, I can see via the webhooks that the call is coming in. I get a call ID, and based on that, if you look at documentation, you should be able to grab that call based on the ID, and then do something with it, manipulate it. Put it on hold, transfer it, hang up, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I get this weird response from Graph. So maybe it's a region thing because I'm located in Western Europe. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
I wouldn't expect so, but
no,
the troubleshooting on some of that stuff is not great. So yeah, it should. I guess the answer it should work. But
Okay.
so yeah, if you want to keep, I would try just getting it to answer a call and play a message back or something before you try and get it to transfer scenarios. See if you can get that working.
Yeah, because basically I don't want to do anything media offload or anything. I just want to use, the bot natively in Teams, and then Azure for that matter, and then just manipulate the call, do something with it, or hang up or whatever. But that doesn't seem to be possible. Apparently.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need to do the local media implementation. You could do it all remote. Like if you switch a media configuration to be remote, it's
exactly.
fine.
So that was also the idea. So basically, what I wanted to do was, grab the call and then maybe transfer it to a call queue or an IVR or something like that. But it doesn't seem to be possible.
Yeah, no, I'm doing exactly that right now.
Oh, you are? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm not. It should work.
Okay. Then I need to figure out what the heck I'm doing wrong.
Yep, that's. It's not the flat. It should work. So yeah, there's something going on. That's the.
So could it be that information is missing on the JSON that you kind of respond with? I've seen some of the examples where the tenant ID is missing, and then once you add that to the body of the JSON, then you will actually be able to do some of these things.
It's possible. Are you using a bot with the calling SDK?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. An inbound call via direct routing should look the same as an inbound call via a service number.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. Christian, maybe you can kind of just write your scenario down into the chat box, and then we can see if we can route it to someone on our side that may be able to kind of provide some information there for you.
Okay, I can do that.
Awesome, thank you. So Flavia, I see you had your hand raised up first. Did you have a question that you wanted to ask?
I have two questions. I need to show a tab only for mobiles on my app. And another thing is I need to know if a user have seen a message sent by my bot. I need to know if he did see the message, because they are asking. I said we are putting this to Power BI, this information to Power BI, and I don't know how to get this information.
Shubham or Anuj, any insights there that you can help Flavia with, or any resources you can direct her to?
Hey, Flavia, I couldn't get your first question. Could you repeat your first question, please?
So I have an application with 5 tabs, but only one tab I wanted to be shown on the mobiles.
Okay. So basically, you want to show 5 tabs on desktop, but you want to have only one tab shown up on mobile.
Yes, I need to hide the other 4 tabs.
Got it. Yeah, I know that this is possible. What I can do is point you to the right documentation. I don't really own this area, but of tabs. But let me share the documentation with you, and I think you can refer to that.
Would be nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining today's call, and we'll catch you next month on our next Teams Developer Community Call. Thank you all, and have a great rest of the day.